Can you for a minute tell me what is the serious allegation which is leveled by Mr. Sanjay Nirupam against Prime Minister's office? You said it half a dozen times.
Absolutely.
What is that allegation?
The allegation is that telephone calls were made from and received by senior officials of the office, either at the time of or, let me finish, on the very day that the cyberspace deal was being done. In other words, he's claiming that the officials at UTI changed their initial mind under the influence of telephone calls. He wants it investigated.
These are your interpretations.
These are allegations.
No, he did not make. Just let me answer. First thing, as far as the investigation part is concerned, there is a joint parliamentary committee probing into it, and they will investigate it. And you and I and everybody must wait for it. Now, if you say making a telephone call, many times the telephone calls are made. You see, Prime Minister's office, if he's in contact with the UTI office, what is wrong in it? You don't expect the Prime Minister's office to be in contact with the financial institutions. Only somebody has made a call and something happens. Suppose I make a call to somebody and something happens in his house after half an hour. Does this mean that my call is related to that unless you prove it? Now, this is a strange situation.
I'm
answering. So you are questioning. So let me answer. So I'm not questioning you. What I'm trying to tell, you can't have a jurisprudence in this country that somebody makes a call and suppose something happens on the day, then you conclude you don't need any evidence other than a call which is made for 2 minutes.
Not at all. You need investigation, I grant it. But when you are a government committed to the highest standards of probity in public life, when you are a government that has come to power promising clean governance, then it behoves you that people against whom such slurs have been cast should step aside, so that the very highest office, let me finish, so that the very highest office in government, the Prime Minister's office, is not besmirched.
So I like to,
Such an example.
I'm sorry, with this logic, the Prime Minister will have to change his principal secretary every other day. You have about 800 MPs and 800 magazines in this country. Somebody who has to remove the principal secretary, he has to say that he made this call, that call. You don't need, because with your logic, if I were the Prime Minister, I will have to change my principal secretary
if you really believe in good, clean government, then you have to believe in the principle that Caesar's wife should be above suspicion. Serious suspicion is cast by people who are your allies, by people who are your former party president.
Again, I'm saying, what are the serious allegations? As I said, a telephone call.
We're going around in circles. Let me quote to you what Mr. Vajpayee himself said way back in 1972. At the time Indira Gandhi was Prime Minister, her son Sanjay Gandhi was being accused of corruption. Mrs. Gandhi was thought to be protecting him. This is what Mr. Vajpayee said in the Lok Sabha. He said, the Prime Minister enjoys the people's confidence, and yet for the sake of a small factory of her son, she has given the people the chance to point a finger at her. This is not an instance of mother's love. Madam, this is an instance of disregard for the limits of public life. I put it to you, today the Prime Minister is in a position where he himself can be accused of disregarding the same limits.
No, because you are comparing apple with oranges. Can you tell me what this government, like Sanjay Gandhi got this Maruti factory? I don't want to go into detail because I don't think we have a time to discuss Maruti factory and Sanjay Gandhi at this juncture in Mrs. Gandhi's regime. Can you quote me one thing which Mr. Ranjan Bhattacharya got from this government? One license?
It's not a question of licenses, it's a question of allegations.
It's not a question, I'm sorry, the allegation...
The point has come where if you believe in the honesty, integrity of the government and your commitment, then you should say to Mr. Brajesh Mishra, as you said to George Fernandez, step aside. Take George's example.
No, I think you're not allowing me to answer.
Please answer.
You're not allowing me to answer. The first thing, as I said, if you are comparing the Sanjay Gandhi's case, Sanjay Gandhi got a license of a small car factory when his mother was a Prime Minister. Now, before you proceed, you will have to tell me I saw total evidence. We are not sitting in a court. We are discussing a public perception. You will have to tell me what Mr. Ranjan Bhattacharya got. A license, a factory, something, Please.
Bangaru Lakshman,
No, no,
I've already
see
told
what
you,
Bangaru-
is on record saying that Ranjan Bhattacharya is involved in
I have,
fixing
see,
power deals.
Bangaru and I both have denied. If you tell the 10 times, it doesn't become
But we've
truth.
all heard him say it. We saw it on
No,
television.
as I said, see, you have not heard it. That's why I said, no, I can't bring that 8-hour tape and debate with you, it happened or not.
So you're saying, in fact, he was stitched up, that those are not his words, that it's all make-believe?
No, I'm not saying anything. See, I'm not
But then
really
what
saying
are
it.
you saying?
No, that's why I'm trying to tell you, but you are not ready to listen to me. You see, as I told you, these Sanjay Gandhi case and Ranjan Bhattacharya case are not identical.
Not as
Neither,
yet.
neither,
Not
neither.
as yet, I grant that. I completely grant it.
Neither he got anything from
But Mrs.
government, nor
Gandhi
from political
didn't promise
party.
the higher standards of probity. Mrs. Gandhi didn't
No,
come
I
to
don't
power
want to comment.
promising clean
See, I don't
government.
want
You
to-
did. You actually came to power to
Yes,
say that you
yes,
were going to
and-
sweep the Congress record aside
yes, yes.
and set a new
That's
example.
why I said. That's why I said that this is the first government in this country. In this government, from Prime Minister to downwards, nobody today has accused even one single minister against any charge of corruption. If that is not probity, I don't know, then you'll have to change the
All
dictionary.
right, let's accept that. We leave the audience to judge precisely how they wish to interpret the Prime Minister's office of resignation, whether this is emotional blackmail, whether this is an attempt to cover up for people in his office who he thinks can't answer the charges made against them, or whether
whether
this
it's
is
a
just
genuine.
anguish and genuine. Let's move to the other promise on which you came to power 3.5 years ago. The promise of, as Mr. Advani called it, Suraj, good governance. Do you think you've been able to fulfill it?
Yes, I'm sure about it. Because if you look at 3 years, except the economic slowdown, which is a worldwide, we could keep the growth rate 6+. We could keep the inflation in control. We could fight the Kargil war. Today, India has maximum friends internationally. So the decisions taken on roads, power, all sectors, that shows that we tried our level best to give a Suraj. I'm not really
Let's start
apologetic
with the
about it.
example of Manipur. On June the 14th, your government agreed to extending the Naga ceasefire without territorial limits. 6 weeks later, it's revoked its position. Today, many believe that 4 years of negotiations with the NSCN are about to unravel. That's not good governance. That's a government tying itself up in knots.
No, I think now we have come from...
I'm taking examples of good governance and questioning it.
You can take any example you want. If you discuss Manipur, we can discuss Manipur. Manipur is not a problem created during BJP regime.
But the decision to extend the ceasefire happened during the BJP regime.
Yes, I'm just analyzing. So to answer your question, I can say that we took a decision on 14. The decision of earlier ceasefire and this ceasefire was only one difference. Because Nagas don't only live in Nagaland.
I understand the background. What I'm trying to understand is the fact that you've tied yourself in knots. You do one thing, 6 weeks later you revoke it.
So I don't think in a democratic government, if the Manipur people has objected to it, and if the central government has conceded their demand, I think in a democracy, when people agitate, there were agitations, the parliament...
But anyone could have told you what the response in Manipur or Assam or Arunachal Pradesh would have been long before you agreed to the extension. One thought that you'd taken it into account. We now discover you haven't.
No, sir. That's a false statement. This decision was not taken unilaterally by the central government. There was a discussion in the chief ministers of Northeast Council.
And how many did you forget to consult? That's another level of good governance that I want to bring up.
See, again,
you forgot to consult Tarun Gogoi. You even forgot to consult Ved Marwa, the man you yourself appointed as governor
Again,
of
when the
Manipur.
decision was taken, again these two examples are the examples how you distort the facts. The first thing is Ved Marwa is a governor. Before that, the chief minister was consulted. And as far as Mr. Tarun Gogoi is concerned, he just got elected only 3 weeks before the ceasefire.
So you don't consult him? 3 weeks is a long enough time to pick up a phone and have a telephone conversation?
It's a long enough time. But as I said, Assam is not a primary issue in this. Assam is not a primary issue.
What about
Assam
Manipur?
doesn't have
The
Naga.
governor you appointed was not informed? Legal side consulted?
As I said, that his chief minister was consulted when the decision was taken.
But you appointed the governor. You got rid of the chief minister, so you didn't consult the man you
We don't have to
appointed.
consult again and
How
again
about
everybody.
informing him? How about
No,
informing
he
him?
was informed.
He went public on the front page of the Indian Express to say
See,
he
I
had
don't-
no knowledge
see,
of this.
If he has no knowledge, that shows his understanding power. Because
Okay.
the decision, if the governor doesn't have the knowledge of what his appointing authority is doing, then it doesn't speak
Okay,
about
you're saying the
appointing
governor is
authority.
at fault, not the government.
Well, what is the government
Let's
falling?
come to the question of UTI. Everyone in the country since 1998 has known, when your government had to bail out UTI, that there are serious problems there. Yet in July, what does your finance minister say on the floor of Parliament? I didn't know anything was wrong at UTI. What sort of governance is that?
Nobody said this. You see, again, this is a distortion. What my finance minister said on the floor of the House, that I don't influence the UTI's decision as far as day-to-day functioning is concerned. A general policy decision, definitely the finance minister is always worried. He doesn't control the stock market, but he's worried about what happens.
Mr. Mahajan, on the 13th of March 2001, several MPs on the floor of Parliament told Mr. Yashwant Sinha that the next scam waiting to happen was going to be at UTI. He had knowledge of it from the opposition. 3 years ago, he had to put in 3,000 crore to bail out UTI. Those two facts being the case, how come he didn't continuously monitor the situation? How come he turned around and said that I was not told there was a problem?
No, can I ask you a question? That do you mean that the finance minister should have monitored day-to-day investments of a UTI, which is an autonomous institution under Indian Parliament Act?
Yes, particularly given the extent of coverage in the newspapers about the perilous state of UTI, given the fact that 3 years ago you had to bail it out, given the fact that on the 13th of March this year, the opposition was taunting you. The opposition was taunting you.
See, 13 March, UTI 3,000, you have said it second time, so I understood it. So it's nothing new. What I'm trying to tell you, that how the mutual funds work. In the mutual funds, you appoint a chairman and then you have a body which looks into it. Do you want the Indian finance minister to monitor? You see, this is the double talk. On one way, you say you don't monitor it, and another way, you make allegation that the finance minister...
You know what the end result was?
Don't allow me to... On one side, you make allegations that the finance minister was not monitoring UTI to the extent he should have been. And on other side, you make an allegation that finance minister or somebody was monitoring an investment of A company and B company. Now, both the things cannot be right at the same time.
I didn't make the second allegation.
No. It's not a question of, I'm not talking only your allegations. It's talking what UTI is discussed in the public
You know,
today.
Mr. Mahajan, I'm hearing you. You began by saying the Prime Minister's offer of resignation was serious. You said he was anguished. I put something to you. He was anguished because serious allegations of corruption have been leveled at senior officials, which anguishes and worries him because he doesn't like the situation. He was anguished because good governance is not forthcoming. Because whether it's Manipur, whether it's UTI, whether it's the outcome of the Agra summit, which we haven't had a chance to discuss, in every instance, this government seems to have bungled. That's why he offered his resignation. He was serious, no doubt, as you say. He was accepting responsibility for the failures of his government.
I don't know who is interviewing whom, because I think you are taking more time than the person whom you called here to answer. Now the whole speech you made just now, you made it in last half an hour 10 times. Now that is your version. I can't stop you or anybody to draw conclusions. As far as I'm concerned, as I said, this government has nothing done, nothing wrong is done in the Prime Minister's office, nothing wrong done in the Prime Minister's house. As I explained, Mr. Ranjan Bhattacharya is a son-in-law, and many Prime Ministers, politicians can have sons, daughters, son-in-law and father-in-law, so it's not a crime to be there. And he has not done anything which warrants such kind of acquisition which you are making. You are not giving an iota of evidence on anything. You are going allegations, and it's very unfortunate that, like an opposition party, you are making allegations. So these are all allegations with not a shred of evidence. And as I said, this government under the leadership of Vajpayee has given the cleanest government. The allegations are same repeated allegations, son-in-law and PMO, son-in-law and PMO. Nobody is talking about even one minister. No proof has been given. Nothing has been proved.
Okay.
And still if you say it, still you have a right to...
Mr. Mahajan, we'll leave the last word with you. Thank you very much for speaking to Hard Talk.
Thank you.